Hello everyone, and welcome once again to Caleb Likes Books. Today I'm going to be doing another TBR video, this time for the month of August 2023. I have 7 books on my TBR for the month, 5 of which I am absolutely 100% planning to get to, and the other 2 are kind of more like stretch goals, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. Ones that I would really like to get to, but I don't know 100% if I'm going to get there, because the page count for the 5 books that I am 100% planning to do is quite high, because one of the books is extremely long. But hopefully I'll get to all 7 of these, but I don't know for sure if I will. So to get started with the TBR, I'm going to talk about the 5 books that I'm definitely planning to get to first, and then I'll talk about the other 2 at the end. So the first one that I am planning to read is the main reason why I'm a little unsure about how things are going to go this month, because it is extremely long, and that is the next book in Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive, which is Oathbringer. In July, I read Arcanum Unbounded, which was his short story collection, which had Edge Dancer in it, which is the novella that takes place between Words of Radiance, the second book, and Oathbringer, the third book. And I figured now that I had read that, I can move on to Oathbringer now. And I was considering putting this off until September, just so I could fit in a couple of other books this month that I want to read, but I figured it's been, by this point, by the time that I read it, it'll probably have been around 6 months or so since I read Words of Radiance. So even though I just read a Brandon Sanderson book last month, and I've read several other ones in the couple months prior to that, I figured it's been quite a while since I've read a Stormlight book, so I think it's about time that I move on with the series. I'm super excited for this one. Words of Radiance so far is my favorite book that I've read this year. I really loved it a lot. It was absolutely fantastic. Way of Kings was my favorite book that I read last year, so I have very high hopes and expectations for Oathbringer. Brandon hasn't let me down so far. I've loved just about everything of his that I have read, so I am very excited to read Oathbringer, and I've heard that I've heard basically every book in the Stormlight Archive for some people is a fan favorite, but I've heard especially Oathbringer and Words of Radiance seem to be the fan favorites that I have seen. So I'm really excited to get into it. The next ones that I have, the next 4 books, are all Star Wars books. One of them is a trilogy, one is a standalone. I'll start with the standalone, and that is one that I actually got recently, within the last couple months, and that is Bloodline by Claudia Gray. This is a canon book, the only canon book on my TBR for the month. And this is the last Claudia Gray Star Wars book that I will have to read before I've read all of them. I've read all her other Star Wars books, and this is the only one remaining. And I've heard it is absolutely fantastic. I've heard it's one of the best canon books, and Claudia Gray has not let me down, kind of similar to Brandon Sanderson. I have not read a book of hers yet that I have not enjoyed immensely. So I'm really excited to read this one. I have high hopes for it. And considering how well regarded it is within the fandom, I think it's a pretty safe bet that I'll enjoy it. We'll have to wait and see how it stacks up against her other books. After I finish this one, I'm actually thinking about doing a ranking of her Star Wars books, because I think that would be kind of fun. Let me know in the comments if you might be interested in that. I'm probably going to do it anyway, but I think that would be fun. So I am very excited to read Bloodline. The trilogy that I'm planning to read is a Legends trilogy, and that is the A.C. Crispin Han Solo trilogy. I have heard so many great things about this trilogy. This seems to be a fan favorite within the EU community, and so I'm really excited to read it. The only other Han Solo books that I have read are the Han Solo Adventures by Brian Daley, I believe. And those were released back in the late 70s and early 80s, and I wasn't too crazy about them. It's been a couple of years since I read them, so maybe I'd feel differently now. But I wasn't terribly crazy about them, but I do really enjoy Han as a character, and I think he and Chewbacca, their duo, works really well for books, because you can just have fun little adventure books and things like that. So I'm really excited to read this trilogy. Again, very well regarded within the community, so I have high hopes and high expectations for that, and it just, you know, getting something like that would be nice, because so many Star Wars stories are about the Jedi or the Sith or big conflicts or whatever. You know, I'm also reading New Jedi Order at the moment. You know, that's a big conflict, and then you have all these other stories that are really heavily focused on the Jedi and the Sith and all that stuff. So it'd be nice to get something a bit different from this trilogy. So that pretty much wraps up the 5 books that I am absolutely 100% intending to read. The other 2 books are the first 2 books in a series that I am hoping to start this month. And if I don't start it this month, I'll probably push it off to next month or something, we'll see. And that is the first 2 books in the Percy Jackson series, which are The Lightning Thief and the second one that I can't remember the name of at the moment. I have all of these books. I got them in a box set earlier this year, and so I have all of them so I can read them whenever. And I figured it's been a little bit since I got them, so I figure I'll start them now. I really wanted to start them sometime soon, so that's why I'm putting them in here, because, you know, maybe I'll be able to get to them, and so if I do, then, you know, I can read them. And I wanted to get to them sometime before the end of the year, and I wanted to finish the series before the end of the year. So I'm really looking forward to reading these books. Percy Jackson is one of those series that was really popular when I was growing up. You know, I grew up in the 2000s, so you had stuff like Harry Potter and, you know, Percy Jackson, some other ones. Narnia was decently popular due to the movies, Lord of the Rings, things like that, but I never read Percy Jackson. And so that's one that I have been curious about for a long time, because it came out when I was a kid and was very popular when I was growing up, but I just never read it. So I'm really excited to read this for that reason, and see how it is, and see if the hype is deserved, in my opinion. So very much looking forward to hopefully reading the first 2 Percy Jackson books. And that is pretty much it for my TBR for the month of August. Let me know down in the comments if you have read any of the books and what your thoughts are on them, or if you haven't read any of these and are interested in doing so. And if you have any books that you're planning to read in August, also let me know that down in the comments as well. So that is pretty much it for this video. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time.